Hey everyone, this is SotO, and boy oh boy do we have a balance patch to go through. This is going to be the shorter video. I'll have a longer one going up on the channel where I go through all of these notes as well as the updates to the actual gameplay stuff, but I wanted to do a short one just to highlight the new stuff they've changed. I'm skipping over a lot of really important stuff, so I want to dive into it, but I also want to mention go watch that full video if you are so inclined, because I don't mention a lot of things here that I'll mention in like overall trends and such, but let's get into it. Just really quickly, they added new customization custom post-processing options to the graphic options menu. This is the largest change for PvX. This is everybody who plays the game. This allows new finer control over what post-processing effects are active, so that if you're in a Zerg, hopefully, or if you're all piled onto a raid boss with your legendary effects, it's less of just a cluster of particles, and you can adjust that and maybe get some of your frames back. But let's dive into the new profession skills, and then we'll talk about a TLDR of what this sort of means, in my opinion, for the game and what this represents. So, a couple relic changes you can read with your eyes. Elementalist, this release includes some updates to arcane skills. These blurbs, by the way, are the same as their preview, so I'm not going to go through each one, but I thought I'd sort of mention this because one overall change that you'll see is they mention a couple things that they were going to keep an eye on and that they've actually adjusted since they did the preview about 6 weeks ago. So new changes for Elementalist. Pistol fixed an issue that caused the skills to not properly use legendary weapon effects. Elemental bullets no longer are lost when using a conjured weapon or while gliding. So that for that one conjured weapon enjoyer out there, quality of life stuff, but genuinely good change for gliding. Tempestuous Aria lowered the condition damage increase from 10 to 5% in PvE only. And we have some changes. Again, go check out the longer video or my previous preview, thoughts on the balance patch preview for these changes. But overall, good stuff for Elementalist, couple of quality of life things, and some changes for protection. But again, we already went over that. Engineer, mostly stuff they already previewed. Notable stuff, they are decreasing the sort of penalty for mechanical genius, which is the thing that really hamstrings mechanists from moving away from their mechs, so they can probably just spec in a little bit more boon duration and get the same effect for running like Reds out on Harvest Temple CM. This is a really good change, but again, go check out the other videos for those. Guardian, Willbenders, the TLDR on this is Willbenders are retaining their evade on Heaven's Palm. I think that's really unhealthy. It should be stability or Aegis. This is also a 20-second cooldown that even on an elite skill, knocks down 4 people, or alternatively stomps 1, and has a 1 1/4 second cast time that can be enhanced with quickness. This is insane. You can also use it while moving. I don't know. I don't know if this is going to beat out Renewed Focus, but it's sure as heck trying, right? But let's go into the new changes. Symbol of Ignition, mostly PvE stuff here. Reduce the burning from 2 seconds to 1 second in PvE only. Through the Heart, increase the bleeding duration from 6 to 8 seconds in PvE only. So tuning down pistol damage a little bit for Condi Guardian. But there's a lot of really important changes that I'm not going over. Notably on Guardian, like the Heaven's Palm thing. Most notably, the change to Crashing Courage as well, or Deathless Courage. This trait no longer removes Aegis from Courage triggers, reduces the duration of Courage, or causes enemy deaths to increase the duration of Courage, basically removing all the penalties from it. Now has flat duration. This trait now grants the Guardian strike damage and condition damage reduction while Courage is active. So it's going to make you just harder to kill. Functionality change for Willbenders. Maybe they can build a little bit differently there. So that's crazy. Other new changes to Willbender that they did not preview. Flash Combo, you now gain access to Repose as long as you complete the skill. The sort of in and out skill, even if you do not land all 5 hits. Increase the power coefficient per hit, I'm assuming on the first point of this portion of the skill, from 0.3 to 0.4 in World vs. World and PvP. I think that's, and then it hits 5 times. Repose, the skill no longer is an attack. This skill now heals and removes conditions from you after shadow stepping back to your original position, which is crazy. Adding even more condition removal to Guardian, which already had the 2 ammunition condition removal on the dash. So even more Blue Thief in and out goodness for you Willbender enjoyers out there. Heaven's Palm, like I said, skill now evades on startup and finishes your targeted foe if they are downed and no other enemies are nearby. I really worry about this because Bull's Charge on Warrior, granted that's a utility skill, already is an evade. Granted, Bull's Charge only hits 1 target and knocks them down for 3 seconds. Heaven's Palm is going to evade and knock down 5 targets for 4 seconds. Alternatively, stomping 1 target, having a 20-second cooldown, which is only exceeded by Headbutt on Warrior, which also stuns you when you hit with a hit a target with it. It also, again, has a ludicrously short cast time for a stomp. Not even the Daredevil chain that you have to, like, 3-hit channel has this low a cooldown or a cast time. It's like 3 seconds. Even if you give yourself quickness, it's like 2.5. And it locks you in place. This does not lock you in place. This is a crazy addition, and Heaven's Palm is going to be... I don't know if it's going to be nuts to the point where they feel like they need to change it, but that's just on paper. This skill is... It needs to be Aegis or Stability or something, so that at least there's some counterplay to this in groups. I understand it's supposed to finish single down targets, like when you finish a target, you can get that kill, but if there's no counterplay and it's just an AoE knockdown that you can cast while moving in a group with an evade startup, like with a 20-second cooldown that knocks down for 4 seconds, like, that's only a 16-second downtime. What stun break in the game has 16 seconds that's going to come back up, let alone, you know, group pressure like that? This is crazy. I don't know. That's insane to me. Mesmer, we've made new changes. Dazzling, fixed an issue that caused the trait to not affect certain stuns. Solid. Dimensional Aperture, fixed an issue that could allow multiple people to take the portal. So that's the Rifle 5, I believe, only intended for one target. Notable changes they went over before. Nullfield getting dumpstered, not really, but sort of, kind of, in World versus World. Duration and number of pulses going down, so mini bubble kind of getting removed. And in my opinion, we need less of a boon bulb meta, not more, but we'll see where this lands. Other changes, we've already gone through that. Mirage, new changes, Sand Through Glass. The skill no longer creates a mirror and now grants Mirage Cloak at the end of the evade. Effervescence, this fixed an issue that prevented clones from healing with this skill. Some other cool stuff in here for Virtuoso with Infinite Forage, as well as Dune Cloak changes. Kind of interesting, but go read and review those videos if you are so inclined. New changes, Support Scourge getting kind of a hit, but getting some buffs to sword usability, which sword, in my opinion, was already really good, especially because the movement skills go 620 instead of the tooltip saying 450, but it is what it is. Satiate, especially if you have Barrier, aka play Scourge. Sorry. Satiate, reduce the health cost from 8% to 5% of base health in World vs. World and PvP. Gorge, reduce the health cost from 12 to 8 in World vs. World and PvP. Hungering Maelstrom, fixed an issue that caused the skill to be unaffected by quickness and slowness. Dragon Trigger is another one that is unaffected by quickness and slowness. Arenanet, just, you know, if you want to change that. Gormandize, reduce the health cost or do anything to Dragon Trigger. Gormandize, reduce the health cost from 8 to 5 of base health in World vs. World and PvP. Kind of cool that they're standardizing this at 5. I don't know what that means for balance, but it's kind of cool from a usability standpoint. Consume, reduce the health cost from 10 to 5, base in World vs. World and PvP. Lesser Spinal Shivers, fixed an issue that caused the skill to deal more damage than intended in PvP. And Transfusion, fixed an issue that prevented the skill from healing the user when they are a Harbinger. Other notable things that are not in the new notes, Harbinger is getting a little bit more AoE protection application. Where is it? And so it can be that kind of supporty quickness provider, hopefully in PvE and maybe even Zerging. We'll see. And Alacrity is going away on Scourge. But again, go check those trait changes out if you are so inclined. Also, spoilers, Willbender and Bladesworn are both retaining their Alacrity. So for now, our Bladesworn lives in World vs. World, and we have something to play, even if it's kind of jank and awful. Ranger, new changes. So this is the big one that stuck out to me, but there's a couple other things that are similar where they said they are going to keep an eye on the strength, because again, these preview paragraphs have not changed. But they say in the preview paragraph that they wrote 6 weeks ago, maybe 6 months ago, but 6 weeks ago, they're keeping an eye on the strength of Evasive Purity, but they're actually changing Evasive Purity in these patch. Evasive Purity, if you didn't know, is this ludicrous trait, or was this ludicrous trait, that had no cooldown, it was in the master tier, and remove a damaging and non-damaging condition whenever you pressed your dodge button. Now it cleanses one condition and heals you, which is kind of a good armistice and a good compromise, I think, between that. Force of Nature, reduced outgoing damage bonus from 10 to 25 to 10, and healing bonus in PvE. So, you know, you have to spec in to actually being a support Mace Ranger or doing some damage with it. We'll see where that lands, but still kind of crazy that Power Mace Ranger was doing 47k at any point, with basically zero investment, especially for all the other benefits that it gets. But we'll see where that lands. I know they don't want to do too much too fast. Flourish, reduced the internal power coefficient again down. Mostly in PvP, or PvE, sorry, and Wild Strikes, the 5, reduced the Mace 5, reduced the power coefficient from 1 to 0.85, and the final power coefficient from 2 to 1.7 in PvE. Most of these other changes, other than Rampant Growth, they already previewed. But what does this basically mean for Ranger? Well, what it means is you're going to have to invest a little bit more, hopefully, into actually doing power damage or being support with whatever kind of mace you're running. But failing that, we'll see where this puts Ranger. We'll see where it lands. It's still going to be very strong maces, honestly. Even changes that they already previewed, like Lift of the Stars, it's still going to be very strong. They're just sort of tuning down the spammability of this. And other notable changes other than rampant growth tracking better. This one right here on Untamed, Unnatural Traversal, the teleport is no longer, it's still not instacast, but it grants quickness, so you can get your burst off after you use it, and increase the vulnerability stacks from 2 to 10, so it'll actually matter. Exciting Revenant changes, though. Hammerbolt, reduce the casting time. These are new. By approximately 0.4 seconds, which is actually huge. Reduce the power coefficient from, so basically hammer usability increases. Reduce the power coefficient from 1.35 to 0.9 in PvE and from 0.633 to 0.5 in World vs. World in PvP. Blossoming Aura, reduce the power coefficient from 1.0 to 0.5 in World vs. World in PvP, and Otherworldly Bond, reduce the initial damage increase from 10 to 5, and the bonuses from 5 to 2.5 in World vs. World in PvP. They have a huge Renegade rework in here that I go into more in my longer video, but the TLDR is Hammer's getting a buff. Hammer 5 will now slightly attach to a target and refresh Coalescence of Ruin, which drastically increases the amount of pressure Zergs can put on each other, because Coalescence of Ruin is just AoE damage. And also Hammer 5 will actually maybe hit something now, which is pretty good. Honestly, this is what Dragon Tooth should do, instead of just completely auto-tracking the target. But this is great. The Renegade changes are basically, they're there to make them feel less of a duration thing and more of a cast successive Renegade members. So there's a new trait where you can summon in a second Renegade summon with a bonus once you summon one in. So, and they interact with the elite skill, but again, go read through or check out the longer video if you're so inclined. I actually really like these changes, but I also don't play Renegade, and I've seen both positive and negative feedback on this change, but we haven't had it yet, so we'll see. Also notably, they are keeping Imperial Impact's functionality for you. It doesn't extend boon duration anymore, but it will. They've sort of chunked a lot of the boons that it provides up to compensate. So if you're running my Broken Builds Vindicator build, or anything similar with Vindicator, don't despair, it's still probably going to be pretty good. And failing that, just switch into Renegade or Herald. They're both pretty tanky. Thief, they're tuning up and down quickness Deadeye PvP, but they're also giving a new trait that gives initiative when you dodge, so that's kind of huge for Thief. New changes: Meld with Shadows, reduce the super speed duration from 1.5 to 0.75 seconds when Silent Skill trait is equipped in PvP only. So a little bit less, run around mobility. Shadow's Rejuvenation, reduce the initiative gain on enter from 2 to 1 when Silent Scope is equipped. Death's Retreat, increase the initiative cost from 6 to 7, and Death's Advance, increase the initiative cost from 4 to 5 in PvP only. I know Deadeye, Axe Deadeye, was pretty prominent right now in PvP, especially with, every PvP player and their cat doing a video on it and how bursty it is. So I think this might be a little bit of a hit to that, but I think a lot of these things are also on Rifle, and I could be wrong. Some quality of life stuff, PvE Deadeye as well, kind of like double tap will now pierce and 3-round burst will now pierce. Again, go watch the video. Daredevil, Havoc Specialist, you no longer get mad at your allies when they give you vigor. So Havoc Specialist will give a flat bonus instead of scaling with remaining endurance. So as long as you press your dodge button every so often, this will give you that get dodge bonus. Deadeye, new changes: Malicious Tactical Strike, now skill no dazes instead of blinding when striking from the front, increase the power coefficient, and Malicious Cunning Salvo, skill can no longer consume malice while when recalled. Fun stuff there. All right, warrior changes. New changes, these are mostly aimed at actually fixing bugs that were on staff. Notice that none of the other classes had bugs on their new weapon, but it is what it is. I'm not bitter. Inspiring Whirl, fixed an issue that caused the skill to center its attack around your target, aka you could hit from infinity range with the third hit of the auto attack. Linebreaker, fixed an issue that caused the skill to grant fewer unblockable stacks than intended, so hopefully this also applies to you, and you can get that unblockable effect with the 4, even if it consumes 1 to do the weakness. Bullet Catcher, fixed an issue that could cause the skill to be cancelled early. It actually couldn't. It would still keep blocking attacks. They would only cancel the animation early, but still that's annoying. So good there. Path to Victory. The burst skill on the F1 fixed an issue that could cause the level 2 and 3 versions of the skill to heal for more than intended. Solid. Rush changes, yay, 11 years in the making. Tuning up a lot of these power coefficients. We're going to skip over this one for now because it kind of is concluding thought I want to get to. And Wild Blow, skills now unblockable. Again, previewed a lot of this. Does damage as much as an Ellie, I believe, Arcane Wave Leap, but also automatically crits, and I'm assuming still gives you Fury. So we'll see if you can actually... Again, Wild Blow is almost impossible to hit anything in with because it's right in front. It's one hit right in front of you for a utility skill. But if you hit, you're going to do some damage. So, you know, provided it's not invulnerable or evading or has the weird untamed buff on it that means they can't take damage. But we'll see. We'll see where this lands. I don't know how much of a change or how much of a fan I have of this. I haven't tried it, but this something I am a fan of is this right here. They are tuning up Slicing Maelstrom power, which wasn't really the issue. The issue was they are reducing the aftercast of the skill nearly 9 months after SotO came out by 0.9 seconds, almost a full second of aftercast the skill had. So maybe it will actually be usable. Hopefully this is all game modes. Hopefully this is based on feedback and not because someone in arenanet finally slotted main hand dagger on Berserker after making the skill, but hey, I'll take what I can get, and even if rush changes take 11 years or Slicing Maelstrom, I think it's important to give arenanet credit where it's due, and this is a good change. So solid changes there, as well as with the sort of Ranger, we're keeping an eye on it sort of thing with Evasive Purity, and then sort of coming to a compromise maybe with cleansing conditions, cleansing a condition and then healing you, especially since Relic of the Antitoxin or Relic of Antitoxin is in PvP right now. So what do I think about all this? Again, go watch my longer video for full thoughts on this, but I am really happy to have arenanet seemingly finally not just copy paste. I mean, even if they are copy pasting their blurbs, they're actually updating the changes that they do between the preview and now. Granted, the lag was a little bit longer between the balanced update preview as well as what we got today, but it is what it is. Really, really good. I'm glad they seem to be at least sort of reading their forums. Again, a lot of the feedback on the forums is really solid, really calm, really, you know, actually comes from a place of knowledge and not just I want to make my character OP. A lot of it is trash, just like everything. A lot of mine probably included in that. So it is what it is, and it's hard to sort through that. I get it. But thank you, arenanet, if you are out there listening to this, for reading and taking some of the feedback. Things that I don't like is they're just sort of tuning up power on Berserker. It doesn't need power fixes. Like, honestly, this will help, but what it needs is functionality changes. Making Last Stand better when Stance Warrior is already the only viable build in PvP doesn't really do anything for the variety of the class. It just makes an egregious problem worse. It's kind of like when they buffed Unshakable Mountain for no reason when Unshakable Mountain was already busted. I don't like to see that. This kind of smacks we don't play this class at all or in PvP or really know how to balance it. Again, arenanet, please hire somebody who has passion for these classes. I know you can't play everything. I can't play everything. I don't. But I would really like to see more, you know, functionality changes going into Warrior or even Thief or Engineer, for example, because there's like no new Engineer changes in here. Some of them are good, like the least change on Mechanist, but there's like no new changes. So I really think they need to hire an NG/Warrior/Thief dev. That'd be amazing. But like a lot of these functionality changes, like Carnivore for Ranger, really good. I think this basically giving Wilderness Survival the option of where to cleanse conditions is kind of crazy for build crafting. I would love to see this on literally every class, them have some kind of selfish, customizable trait line where you can choose what functionality you get from it, where you cleanse conditions. Not just Ranger, Revenant, Guardian. Guardian actually already has a lot of this, but like, you know, Thief, Warrior, etc. I don't know if it would work balance-wise in every class, but the more customization we have, the better, in my opinion. And I really think that little changes like this go a long way to sort of emphasizing that and rewarding players who are into build crafting. But that's just my 2 cents on that. I'm kind of glad to see the PvE values of Alacrity that a lot of people had going away. Like on Tempest and what is it? I think Tempest it's going away on. I actually didn't check that, but things like Druid, very kind of egregious, where you could just give out Alacrity from PvE values in World versus World. Where's Tempest? Tempestuous Aria. Yeah. So trait now applies Might instead of Alacrity in PvP in World versus World, which is still good, honestly. I think that's fine for that, but I also don't play Tempest. Willbender, still retaining its Alacrity. Bladesworn, still retaining its whole 3 seconds of Alacrity. Yay. But again, I know functionality changes are hard. I'm glad that we're getting some numbers changes, but like this just changes, smacks to me, you ticked a box for warrior. If you need feedback, I have loads of it. Go read it. Captain Crapface, terrible name, great guy. Lots of feedback on how you can fix tune-up warrior weapons. 100 blades, this will do nothing because the issue with 100 blades is not that it doesn't hit power hard enough, it's that the skill is completely unusable. Hopefully they know that, hopefully they feel that somewhere, hopefully they can get some development budget or get someone in there that wants to do these changes if the people right now don't or you know just can't afford the development budget to do it in their own time or whatever. But I'm optimistic. There's a lot of really cool changes in here. Enough warrior complaining, a lot of really good stuff. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I tried to make this video shorter. I'm sure it'll end up being longer than I want it to be. But yeah, go check out the longer video if you want a full rundown. There's a lot of good quality of life stuff for PvX people in here as well. And chairs are on sale this week. Woohoo! So let me know what you thought. I'm SotO. This is Build Wars 2. Hopefully you've enjoyed, and I will see y'all in Tyria. Peace out.